Britain does retirement rather well. Garden centres on Sunday afternoons, seaside promenades with morning constitutionals, village fetes and local bridge clubs, cream teas overlooking the harbour, the golden years in all their quiet glory. But some towns never made it into the retirement brochures. Scattered across these islands are places where the general practitioner surgeries have closed and not reopened. Towns where the pension stretches thinner each month. Coastal resorts where the postcard facade conceals something the tourism boards would rather not discuss. I have gone through government deprivation indices, National Health Service data, Office for National Statistics life expectancy reports, and local testimonies to bring you 12 towns where retirement is not what you were promised. Now, before we dive in, if you find this helpful, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. These are not opinions. These are places where the data speaks for itself, and what it says should concern anyone thinking about where to spend their later years. Let us begin with number 12, Slough in Berkshire. Despite desperate regeneration attempts to shake off its bleak image over the decades, this town west of London remains synonymous with concrete and commuter misery. Ricky Gervais captured something real when he set the office here. The brutalist architecture, the trading estates stretching toward the M4 corridor, the sense that this place was built for working, not for living. For retirees, the challenges run deeper than aesthetics. Healthcare access in this part of the Thames Valley has become genuinely concerning. Nearby areas show just 11 GP surgeries per 100,000 residents. That is significantly below the national average. When you need regular appointments for blood pressure monitoring or diabetes management, those numbers matter. You find yourself driving further, waiting longer, wondering why you chose to stay. The town centre offers little comfort. Empty retail units line the high street. The cultural pull that might sustain a fulfilling retirement simply is not there. Slough functions as a place people pass through on their way to somewhere else. For those who remain, the passing years can feel very long indeed. Number 11 takes us to Peterborough in Cambridgeshire. This cathedral city on the edge of the fens presents a curious contradiction. Historic architecture stands alongside troubled services. Patient surveys tell a stark story. GP practices in Peterborough have earned an average online review score of just 2.4 out of 5. That is the lowest of any major town surveyed across England. Walk through the city centre and you see a place caught mid-transition. New housing developments appear at the edges where farmland once stretched toward the horizon. Yet the high street shows unmistakable signs of decline. Empty shop fronts, limited options for the cultural activities that make retirement worthwhile. The magnificent Norman Cathedral remains, drawing visitors who photograph the facade and leave. For someone seeking a place to grow old gracefully, Peterborough offers affordable property prices but little else. The infrastructure that supports comfortable ageing feels stretched thin. Residents describe waiting weeks for routine appointments. The frustration accumulates like Fenland water with nowhere to drain. Number 10 brings us to Hull in East Yorkshire. This proud city on the Humber estuary has reinvented itself before. The City of Culture title in 2017 brought genuine optimism. Investment flowed into the waterfront. The Deep Aquarium became a landmark. Trawler heritage found new celebration in museums and memorials, but the statistics tell a more complicated story. Research into retirement suitability ranks Hull toward the bottom of major English cities. Lower property prices sound attractive until you consider what they mean. Older adults have less capital to pay for residential or nursing care when the time comes. The equity in your home determines how many years of care you can afford. In Hull, that calculation produces uncomfortable answers. Some neighbourhoods still carry the weight of long industrial decline. The fishing industry that once defined this city exists now mainly in photographs and memories. Limited employment options shaped daily life for generations. ageing infrastructure requires constant navigation. The people of Hull possess remarkable resilience, but resilience should not be the primary requirement for a comfortable retirement. Number 9 moves us to the heart of England, Stoke-on-Trent in Staffordshire. The Potteries, Wedgwood, Royal Dalton, names that once meant something to the world. Bottle kilns still punctuate the skyline, preserved as monuments to an industry that largely departed decades ago. The canal network that carried ceramics to distant ports now serves narrowboat enthusiasts seeking weekend escapes. Here is the calculation that should concern any prospective retiree. People living in London can use their house capital to pay for an average of nearly 18 years of residential care. In Stoke-on-Trent, that same calculation produces just 4.7 years of residential care, or 3.1 years of nursing care. The property prices that seem so attractive become a trap when care costs arrive. Terraced housing stretches through former pottery towns now merged into one city. Burslem, Hanley, Longton, Fenton, Tunstall, Stoke-on-Trent itself. Each carries distinct character and shared challenges. The young leave seeking opportunities elsewhere. Those who remain grow older in a place where the economics of ageing work against them. Number 8 takes us to Bradford in West Yorkshire. Victorian wool mills line the valleys where industry once thundered. Imposing architecture speaks of confidence and ambition from another era. The countryside of the Yorkshire Dales begins just beyond the city boundaries. On paper, Bradford should offer much. The reality produces genuine alarm. Research into elderly care provision found Bradford scoring just 1.62 out of 10 overall. That made it the worst performing major city in the entire United Kingdom for elderly care. The care home review rating stood at 0.2. Hospital proximity scored poorly. Multiple indicators pointed in the same troubling direction. Crime statistics compound the concern. Bradford ranks among the most dangerous larger towns in England. The combination creates an environment where vulnerable, older people face compounded risks. Beautiful moorland surroundings cannot compensate for services stretched beyond capacity. The wool mills stand empty now, so do many promises about levelling up and regeneration. Number 7 is Stockton-on-Tees in County Durham. The high street here made national news when the local council took the dramatic decision to demolish much of it, rather than watch it continue declining. That single fact tells you something about the trajectory of this Tees Valley town. When destruction becomes preferable to preservation, something has gone fundamentally wrong. Care home ratings in Stockton achieved a score of just 1.22. The town ranked second worst in the country for elderly care provision, saved from the absolute bottom only by slightly better hospital proximity than Bradford. Riverside development continues. New buildings rise where shipyards once stood, but the underlying challenges remain. Retirees here describe a familiar pattern: services contracting, options narrowing, the sense that investment and attention flow elsewhere while their community manages decline. The River Tees still curves through the landscape, as it has for millennia. Human institutions prove far less permanent. Number 6 brings us to the Lancashire coast. Morecambe. The bay stretches magnificently toward the Lake District Fells. The Art Deco Midland Hotel underwent restoration and stands white against grey skies. Sunsets over the sands draw photographers from across the north. Morecambe should be a retirement paradise. The Chief Medical Officer's annual report on coastal communities identified exactly why it is not. For over 20 years, recruiting and retaining general practitioners and experienced practice nurses in Morecambe has proved challenging. The medical professionals needed to serve an ageing population simply do not come, or they do not stay. This pattern repeats across British coastal towns. People in more deprived areas and coastal communities often have the highest needs for National Health Service care, yet they face the fewest general practitioners, the worst performing services, and the longest waits. Morecambe exemplifies this contradiction. Natural beauty in abundance, healthcare access in shortage. The promenade remains, the doctors do not. Number 5 is Hartlepool in County Durham. Here the statistics become genuinely stark. Healthy life expectancy in Hartlepool stands at just over 51 years for women and just over 52 years for men. That means the average resident can expect to spend a significant portion of their life in poor health. Retirement becomes not golden years, but difficult ones. The headland juts into the North Sea, where the old town clusters around medieval church ruins. A marina development brought investment and optimism. The nuclear power station provides employment and an unsettling backdrop. Steelworks heritage shapes the landscape and the identity. Hartlepool tops the regional list for employment deprivation. When working-age residents struggle, the effects cascade through generations. Services strain and opportunities narrow. Those who reach retirement age do so having navigated decades of structural disadvantage. The town possesses fierce pride and genuine community spirit. What it lacks are the resources to translate those qualities into comfortable ageing. Number 4 takes us to Middlesbrough in North Yorkshire. Stand on the transporter bridge spanning the River Tees, and you survey a landscape shaped by iron and steel. Blast furnaces once lit the night sky orange. Chemical works perfumed the air with industrial progress. Middlesbrough grew from virtually nothing to a major town within a single Victorian lifetime. Now, it carries the weight of that industrial decline more heavily than almost anywhere else in England. Crime pressures remain extraordinary. The town recorded approximately 158 crimes per 1,000 residents in recent figures. That ranks among the highest rates outside London. The health statistics prove equally troubling. Life expectancy varies by 16 years between the top of the bank, where comfortable suburbs spread, and the deprived wards below. 16 years. In the same town. Government data confirms Middlesbrough is among the local authorities with the highest proportions of neighbourhoods in the most deprived category nationally. The Riverside Stadium hosts football that provides occasional escape. The North York moors rise to the south, offering natural beauty. But natural beauty does not compensate for a healthcare system in crisis, and crime rates that make elderly residents feel unsafe in their own streets. Number 3 moves south to a surprising location. Hastings in East Sussex. The South Coast, 1966 heritage, fishing boats drawn up on the shingle beach. The old town with its antique shops and net huts. Hastings appears in retirement guides as a characterful alternative to more expensive coastal options. The deprivation data tells a different story. The area northeast of Hastings, nestled between St Helens and Orr, now ranks as the 7th most deprived neighbourhood in all of England. 7th, not in a northern industrial town, not in an inner city, in a seaside resort on the sunny south coast. This matters because it destroys a comfortable assumption. Deprivation exists beyond the north-south divide. Poverty concentrates wherever investment retreats and opportunities narrow. The Cliff Railway still carries tourists between town levels. The pier extends over waves that care nothing for economic statistics. But in the estates above the tourist areas, residents experience the same struggles as their counterparts in Teesside or South Yorkshire. No protection. Number 2 demands careful attention. Jaywick in Essex. This small coastal settlement near Clacton has held an unwanted distinction for 2 decades now. The English Indices of Multiple Deprivation, 2025, confirms it once again. The most deprived neighbourhood in England is located east of the Jaywick and St Osyth area. For the 4th consecutive report, spanning 16 years, Jaywick claims this grim title. Understanding how this happened requires history. In 1928, an entrepreneur named Frank Stedman purchased the land to build low-cost holiday homes for Londoners seeking seaside escapes. Beach chalets and modest bungalows spread across the marshland behind the seawall. After the Second World War, housing shortages meant these holiday properties became permanent homes, despite never being designed for year-round occupation. The consequences compound across generations. 40% of residents cannot work. 60% of pupils at the local school receive free meals because of poverty. More than 20% of residents describe their health as bad or very bad. Over 40% live with long-term illness or disability. The sea defences require constant attention, and flooding threatens regularly. The homes deteriorate. Local people express frustration at being treated as objects of curiosity rather than citizens deserving investment. Television crews arrive to document deprivation and then leave. Promises of regeneration produce plans that stall. The beach remains. The problems remain. Another generation grows up in conditions that should not exist in modern Britain. Number 1 will not surprise anyone who follows these issues. Blackpool in Lancashire. The 2025 Indices of Multiple Deprivation ranked Blackpool the most deprived local authority area out of 296 districts and unitary authorities in England. Not a neighbourhood within a larger town. The entire local authority. The famous tower rises above a community in profound crisis. The statistics require careful reading because they seem almost impossible. Male life expectancy in Blackpool stands at 73.4 years. In Hart District in Hampshire, it reaches 83.7 years, a gap of more than a decade depending on where you happen to live. Last year, Blackpool overtook Glasgow in recording the lowest average male life expectancy anywhere in the United Kingdom. Healthy life expectancy tells an even more disturbing story. Both men and women in Blackpool can expect to remain healthy only until around age 51. After that, decades of poor health await. Retirement begins not in comfort but in illness. How did the entertainment capital of the North reach this point? The transformation began in the late 1960s. Cheap package holidays to the Mediterranean drained visitors away. The families who once filled the boarding houses flew to Spain instead. The illuminations still drew autumn crowds. The pleasure beach still operated its rides. The economic foundation crumbled. When the tourist industry declined in the 1970s, rows of bed and breakfast establishments near the seafront became derelict or were poorly converted into houses in multiple occupation. Absentee landlords with poor maintenance records now control an estimated 3,500 to 4,000 such properties across the town. These provide cheap accommodation for people escaping difficulties elsewhere. Blackpool became a destination of last resort. In the shadow of the rust-red Victorian Tower lie 14 of the 20 poorest wards in the entire country. Local charities describe fighting deprivation that accumulated over decades, while national attention focused elsewhere. The average man living in Blackpool dies roughly 5 years before reaching the national average. For women, the gap persists. Health outcomes worsen. Services strain beyond capacity. Bloomfield Ward, hidden from the seafront by the football stadium, ranks as the single most deprived ward in all of England and Wales. Visitors walking the Golden Mile have no reason to venture into these streets. The residents have no means to leave. So there you have it. 12 towns across Britain where retirement is not what the brochures promised. Please watch the video appearing on your screen next, and do not forget to subscribe to Cottage Dreams.